Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where you're giving everything, pouring your heart and soul into someone, only to feel like you're chasing a ghost? You text, they take hours to respond. You open up, they stay closed off. You're ready for something real, but they're always 1 foot out the door. And here's the most painful part. This isn't the first time. It's a pattern. A cycle that keeps repeating, and you can't figure out why. Welcome to Quantum Love, where we explore the invisible forces that shape your relationships. Today, we are rediving deep into one of the most frustrating patterns in modern love. Why you keep attracting emotionally unavailable people? And I'm going to show you how quantum physics, neuroscience, and attachment theory come together to explain this pattern, and most importantly, how to break free from it. Let me start with a story. Sarah is a successful marketing executive, intelligent, compassionate, with so much love to give. But every relationship follows the same script. She meets someone exciting. The chemistry is intense. Things move fast. Then, slowly, they start pulling away. They cancel plans, become distant. Tell her they're not ready for something serious. Sarah is left heartbroken, confused, wondering what she did wrong. After months of healing, she tries again. New person, same story, different face, identical ending. Sound familiar? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. Millions of people are trapped in this cycle, and it's not because you're broken or because you have bad luck with love. It's because of something much deeper, something quantum. So, your attachment system is operating like a magnet, and it's tuned to a very specific frequency. The problem is, that frequency matches perfectly with emotionally unavailable people. Here's where quantum physics enters the picture. In the quantum world, particles exist in states of probability until they're observed. Your consciousness literally shapes reality. Now, before you think this is just spiritual fluff, understand that your brain works the same way. Your subconscious mind holds patterns, beliefs, and expectations about love that were formed in your earliest relationships, usually with your primary caregivers. These patterns create what I call your quantum attachment field, an electromagnetic signature that broadcasts into the world and attracts people who match that frequency. Think of it like a radio. If you're tuned to 95.5 FM, you're only going to pick up what's broadcasting on that frequency. You won't hear 102.3 even if they're playing your favorite song. Your attachment system works exactly the same way. It's tuned to a specific frequency based on your early experiences. And it only recognizes and feels attraction toward people who match that frequency. This is why you can walk into a room full of emotionally available, loving people and feel absolutely nothing. But the moment someone emotionally unavailable enters your field, boom, instant chemistry, butterflies, that feeling of this is it. Let's break down the science. Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, identifies 4 main attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. If you grew up with caregivers who were inconsistent, sometimes loving, sometimes distant, your nervous system learned that love is unpredictable. You had to work hard for attention and affection. This created an anxious attachment style. Your brain literally wired itself to associate love with uncertainty, with chasing, with proving your worth. Now here's the quantum part. That wiring doesn't just affect your behavior, it affects your energy field. Studies in bioelectromagnetics show that the heart generates an electromagnetic field that can be detected several feet away from the body. This field changes based on your emotional state. When you have unresolved attachment wounds, when you're carrying fear of abandonment, your field broadcasts that frequency. And people with avoidant attachment styles, those who are emotionally unavailable, have a complementary frequency. Their wounds are different but matching. They fear intimacy. They run from vulnerability. And on a subconscious level, they're drawn to partners who won't demand too much emotional closeness. This is the quantum dance. Your anxious attachment broadcasts, "I need love, but I am afraid you will leave." And their avoidant attachment responds, "I want connection, but I'm terrified of being trapped." These two frequencies lock together like puzzle pieces. It feels like fate, like cosmic connection, like you've found your soulmate. But really, you found your wound mate, someone whose trauma perfectly matches yours. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating and sobering. Your brain has a structure called the amygdala, which is your emotional alarm system. When you experienced inconsistent love as a child, your amygdala became hypervigilant. It learned to scan for signs of rejection, abandonment, emotional withdrawal. This creates what neuroscientists call a negativity bias in relationships. Your brain literally gives more weight to signs of distance than signs of affection. Here's where it gets really interesting. Your brain also has something called the reward prediction error system. This is the same system that makes gambling addictive. When a reward is unpredictable, when you don't know if you're going to win or lose, your brain releases more dopamine than when the reward is guaranteed. This is why slot machines are so addictive. This is exactly what happens when you're attracted to emotionally unavailable people. When someone is consistently available, loving, and present, your reward system gets bored. There's no uncertainty, no chase, no challenge. Your brain says this is safe, but not exciting. But when someone is hot and cold, affectionate one day, and distant the next, your reward system goes into overdrive. Every time they text you back after hours of silence, every time they show up after pulling away, your brain gets a massive dopamine hit. It's literally the same neurochemical response as winning at a casino. This is why emotionally available people often feel boring, or why there's no spark. It's not that they're actually boring. It's that your nervous system has been conditioned to associate love with anxiety, uncertainty, and the adrenaline rush of chasing someone who's always just out of reach. Your brain has confused the anxiety of insecure attachment with the excitement of true connection. You've been programmed to think that if it doesn't hurt a little, if you're not worried about losing them, if you're not proving your worth, then it's not real love. Let me introduce you to the concept of quantum entanglement in relationships. In quantum physics, when two particles become entangled, they remain connected regardless of distance. When you measure the state of one particle, you instantly know the state of the other, even if they're light years apart. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. In relationships, trauma creates entanglement. Your unhealed wounds become entangled with someone else's unhealed wounds. Here's how this manifests. You meet someone emotionally unavailable. On a conscious level, you might even recognize the red flags. You're vague about their feelings. They avoid deep conversations. They keep their options open. But on a subconscious level, something in you recognizes something in them. Your inner child, the part of you that learned love meant working hard for scraps of affection, sees their emotional unavailability and thinks finally a familiar challenge. Their inner child, the part that learned love meant being controlled or suffocated, sees your desire for closeness, and thinks this person will let me run away without actually leaving. You become quantum entangled. Their withdrawal triggers your abandonment wound, which makes you chase harder, which triggers their engulfment wound, which makes them pull away more, which triggers your abandonment wound deeper, and the cycle continues. You're not really relating to each other as whole, present adults. You're two wounded children, each triggering the other's deepest fears. Locked in a dance that feels passionate but is actually just painful. The quantum field responds to your dominant vibration. If your dominant vibration is "I'm not enough," or "love always leaves," or "I have to work hard to be loved," then the quantum field will continue to deliver experiences that match that vibration. This isn't punishment or bad luck, it's simply how energy works. Like attracts like. Your external reality mirrors your internal state. Think about how you feel when you're attracted to someone emotionally unavailable. There's usually a mixture of excitement, anxiety, hope, and fear. You're constantly analyzing their behavior. What did that text mean? Why did they take so long to respond? Are they losing interest? What can I do to make them want me more? Your nervous system is in a state of chronic activation. You're not relaxed, you're not at peace, you're in survival mode. Now contrast that with how you feel around someone who is emotionally available and genuinely interested in you. If you're honest with yourself, it probably feels uncomfortable in a different way. It might feel too easy, too simple, maybe even suspicious. Why are they so available? What's wrong with them? Why aren't I feeling that intense attraction? Your nervous system, conditioned to associate love with struggle, doesn't recognize this as love because there's no pain, no chase, no drama. This is the cruel irony. The relationships that feel the most intense, the most meant to be, are often the ones that are simply activating your deepest wounds. And the relationships that could actually be healthy, stable, and loving feel foreign, almost boring. Because your nervous system hasn't been trained to recognize safety as desirable. Let's talk about the concept of quantum observation and how it applies here. In quantum mechanics, the observer effect states that the act of observing something changes it. Your expectations, your beliefs, your focus literally shapes what you experience. If you expect people to leave, you unconsciously behave in ways that push them away, or you interpret neutral actions as signs of rejection. If you believe you're only lovable when you're perfect, you'll hide your authentic self, which prevents real intimacy, which confirms your belief that you're not truly lovable. This is how you become the architect of your own painful patterns, not because you want to suffer, but because your subconscious is trying to protect you by keeping you in familiar territory. Your nervous system would rather be right than happy, would rather confirm what it already knows, even if what it knows is painful, than venture into unknown territory where you might be vulnerable to new kinds of hurt. So how do we break this cycle? How do you change your quantum attachment field and start attracting emotionally available people? The answer lies in understanding that you cannot attract what you are not. If you want to attract someone who is emotionally available, secure, and capable of healthy intimacy, you must first become that person yourself. This isn't about fixing yourself because you're broken. This is about healing the wounds that are keeping you stuck in outdated patterns. The first step is radical awareness. You need to become conscious of your attachment patterns and how they're playing out in your relationships. Start paying attention to the moment you feel that intense spark of attraction. Instead of just riding the wave of chemistry, pause and ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Is this excitement or is this anxiety? Am I drawn to this person because they're genuinely good for me, or because they're activating a familiar wound? This is difficult because your brain will fight you on this. Your nervous system has spent years, maybe decades, perfecting this pattern. It knows this dance intimately. When you start questioning it, when you start choosing differently, your brain will panic. It will tell you that you're overthinking, that you're being too picky, that you're going to end up alone. This is just your nervous system trying to pull you back into familiar territory. Recognize these thoughts as the voice of your wound, not the voice of your wisdom. The second step is nervous system regulation. Remember, your attachment patterns live in your body, not just your mind. You can understand intellectually why you're attracted to emotionally unavailable people. But until you regulate your nervous system, the pattern will continue. This means developing practices that help you feel safe in your own body. Deep breathing, meditation, yoga, somatic therapy. EMDR, these aren't just wellness trends. They're tools for rewiring your nervous system. Here's a quantum principle that's crucial to understand. You cannot change your external reality by fighting against it. Resistance creates persistence. If you're constantly focused on why do I keep attracting the wrong people, you're keeping your energy focused on the problem, which means you keep creating more of the problem. Instead, you need to shift your focus to who you want to become and what you want to create. This is where quantum visualization becomes powerful. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize yourself in a healthy, secure relationship, when you feel what it feels like to be loved consistently, to be chosen clearly, to be safe emotionally, you're creating new neural pathways. You're training your nervous system to recognize safety as desirable, not threatening. But here's the key. You can't just visualize the outcome. You have to become the person who would naturally be in that relationship. If you want a partner who is emotionally available, you have to become emotionally available yourself. This means being honest about your feelings, setting clear boundaries, communicating your needs directly instead of hoping someone will read your mind. If you want a partner who is secure and doesn't play games, you have to stop playing games yourself. No more testing people, no more pulling away to see if they'll chase you, no more pretending you don't care when you do. The third step is grieving. This might sound strange, but it's essential. You need to grieve the fantasy. When you're attracted to emotionally unavailable people, you're not actually in love with who they are. You're in love with their potential, with who they could be if only they would open up, if only they would choose you, if only they would heal. You're in love with the fantasy of finally being enough to make someone stay, finally being lovable enough to make someone change. That fantasy is a defense mechanism. It protects you from having to face the reality that this person cannot give you what you need. As long as you're focused on their potential, you don't have to feel the grief of not being chosen, not being prioritized, not being loved the way you deserve. But that grief needs to be felt and released. You need to let go of the fantasy so you can make space for reality. Hear us what grief in this context looks like. Acknowledging that your parents or early caregivers could ungive you the secure love you needed. Not because you weren't worthy, but because they were limited by their own wounds. Acknowledging that you've spent years choosing people who could unlove you fully because some part of you believed that is all you deserved. Acknowledging that you've been running from true intimacy because being fully seen felt more terrifying than being alone. This grief work is quantum transformation. When you allow yourself to feel the pain you've been avoiding, when you stop numbing and distracting and start processing, you release the energetic charge that's been keeping you stuck. That trapped emotional energy has been like a beacon, broadcasting a frequency of unworthiness, of fear, of desperate need. When you release it through conscious grieving, your frequency changes. The fourth step is developing what I call quantum self-love. This isn't the Instagram version of self-love with bubble baths and affirmations. This is the deep, uncomfortable work of learning to be with yourself, to validate yourself, to meet your own needs. People with anxious attachment often outsource their sense of worth to others. You feel good about yourself when someone wants you, and you feel terrible about yourself when someone pulls away. Your emotional state is completely dependent on someone else's behavior. Quantum self-love means taking that power back. It means learning to regulate your own emotions instead of needing someone else to make you feel okay. It means developing an internal sense of worth that doesn't fluctuate based on whether someone texted you back or not. This is where the real quantum shift happens, because when you are no longer desperate for someone else to make you feel complete, you stop attracting people who withhold love. You stop tolerating breadcrumbs because you know your own worth. Here's a quantum truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Every time you accept less than you deserve, every time you make excuses for someone's emotional unavailability, every time you convince yourself that they just scared or they change eventually, you resending a signal to the universe that says, this is the level of love I believe I am worthy of. And the universe says, okay, here's more of that. When you start choosing differently, when you start walking away from situations that don't honor you, even when it's painful, even when you really like the person, you send a different signal. You tell the universe, I'm worthy of more than this, and that's when everything shifts. That's when your quantum field recalibrates to a new frequency. The fifth step is practicing secure attachment behaviors even when they feel uncomfortable. This is about retraining your nervous system by acting against your anxious impulses. When someone you're dating doesn't text you back immediately, instead of spiraling into anxiety and sending follow-up messages, you practice self-soothing. You remind yourself that their response time doesn't determine your worth. You stay grounded in your own life, your own purpose, your own peace. When someone pulls away slightly, instead of chasing them and trying to fix whatever you think you did wrong, you give them space. You trust that if they want to be with you, they'll show up. If they don't, you trust that you'll be okay either way. This is terrifying for anxious attachment because it means relinquishing control, accepting uncertainty, and trusting yourself to handle whatever happens. But this is exactly the practice that rewires your brain. Here's what happens on a quantum level when you do this. You collapse the wave function of possibility into a new reality. In quantum physics, particles exist in superposition, multiple states at once, until observation collapses them into one definite state. Your relationships exist in superposition too. They contain the possibility of secure connection and the possibility of painful repetition. Your behavior, your choices, your energy determines which possibility becomes reality. When you choose secure behaviors, when you honor your worth, when you refuse to participate in the anxious avoidant dance, you collapse the wave function into a healthier reality. Either the other person rises to meet you at that frequency, or they reveal themselves to be incompatible with what you're creating. Both outcomes are good because both outcomes move you toward alignment. Let's talk about quantum timing. One of the most frustrating aspects of this journey is that you might do all this work, heal your attachment wounds, raise your frequency, and still encounter emotionally unavailable people. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're being tested. The universe is asking, are you really committed to this new pattern? Or will you revert to the old one when someone familiar shows up? This is where most people fail. They do the healing work. They understand their patterns intellectually. But when someone emotionally unavailable with intense chemistry appears, they think maybe this person is different, or maybe I can handle it now that I am more healed. And they jump back into the same dynamic. This resets their frequency back to the old pattern. The quantum leap happens when you can look at someone who would have been your exact type 6 months ago, recognize the red flags, feel the pull of the familiar pattern, and consciously choose to walk away. Not with judgment or bitterness, but with compassion for both of you and clarity about what you truly want. That moment of conscious choice is when your quantum field permanently shifts. Now let us address the fear that comes up for everyone doing this work. If I stop being attracted to emotionally unavailable people, will I ever feel that intense chemistry again? Will healthy love always feel boring? Here's the truth. What you're calling chemistry is actually anxiety. It's your nervous system recognizing a familiar wound and getting activated. Real chemistry, the kind that comes from genuine compatibility, shared values, mutual respect, and authentic connection feels different. It feels calm and exciting at the same time. It feels like coming home while also going on an adventure. At first, this might not feel as intense as the anxiety-based attraction you're used to. Your nervous system might not know what to do with someone who is actually available, consistent, and safe. But if you stay present, if you don't run away because it feels too easy or too good, something amazing happens. You start to feel a deeper kind of connection, one that's based on reality instead of fantasy. One that grows stronger over time instead of burning out quickly. This is quantum love. It's not the desperate, anxious, prove your worth kind of love, but the kind of love where two whole people choose each other freely, where vulnerability is met with compassion, where consistency is the foundation and passion is the flame that burns on top of it. This kind of love doesn't activate your wounds, it heals them. It doesn't make you question your worth, it reminds you of it. It doesn't feel like a roller coaster, it feels like a partnership. Here's your action plan for quantum transformation. First, commit to at least 6 months of no dating or casual dating only while you do deep healing work. Your attachment system needs time to rewire without the interference of new romantic triggers. Use this time for therapy, somatic healing, inner child work, and nervous system regulation. Second, make a list of every emotionally unavailable person you've been attracted to and identify the common patterns. What do they all have in common? What did being with them make you feel? This gives you your red flag checklist. Third, make a list of the qualities you want in a partner, but more importantly, make a list of who you need to become to attract that partner. If you want someone emotionally available, how can you become more emotionally available? If you want someone who communicates clearly, how can you improve your communication? If you want someone who is secure and doesn't play games, how can you stop playing games yourself? Remember, you cannot attract what you are not. Fourth, practice dating people who feel too available, too interested, too easy. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but you need to retrain your nervous system to associate safety with attraction. Go on dates with people who text you back promptly, who make clear plans, who express genuine interest. Notice how your body responds. Notice the stories your mind tells you about why this person is wrong for you. Challenge those stories. Stay curious instead of running away. Fifth, develop a daily practice of quantum alignment. Every morning, spend 10 minutes visualizing yourself in the relationship you want. Don't just visualize the other person. Visualize yourself as the version of you who is in that relationship. How does that version of you think? How do they handle conflict? How do they communicate? How do they love themselves? Embody that version of yourself now, before the relationship appears. The quantum universe responds to who you are being, not what you are wanting. You can want a healthy relationship all day long. But if you're being someone who tolerates breadcrumbs, who chases unavailable people, who abandons yourself to keep someone else comfortable, that's what you'll keep creating. When you become someone who honors themselves, who has clear boundaries, who chooses peace over drama, the quantum field has no choice but to deliver that reality to you. Here's the final quantum truth I want to leave you with. You are not attracting emotionally unavailable people because there's something wrong with you. You're attracting them because your quantum field is still broadcasting the frequency of your unhealed wounds. The moment you commit to healing, the moment you choose yourself with the same intensity you've been choosing others, the moment you decide that you'd rather be alone than accept less than you deserve, everything changes. Your frequency shifts, your field recalibrates, and suddenly you start attracting people who match your new vibration. This isn't magic, it's quantum mechanics. It's neuroscience. It's the simple truth that like attracts like, and you cannot receive what you're not ready to embody. So stop asking, why do I keep attracting the wrong people? And start asking, who do I need to become to attract the right people? That question, and your commitment to answering it through action, is what breaks the cycle. That's what transforms your quantum attachment field. That's what leads you to the love you've always deserved. Thank you for being here on Quantum Love. If this video resonated with you, if you're ready to break free from the pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable people, leave a comment below sharing your biggest insight. And remember, you are not your patterns. You are not your past. You are the quantum field of infinite possibility. The love you seek is seeking you. But first, you must become the frequency that can receive it. I'll see you in the next video.